All right. How you guys doing? So, as you guys all well know, Philips is going to be releasing their brand new HearLink 9050 hearing aids in the very near future. Unfortunately, I can't say when. I don't know when, let's be honest. But the day they get here, I will let you guys know. Should be pretty soon. Now, the 9050 is going to be the upgrade from the current Philips HearLink 9040. These are made by the Demont Group, and they are the same manufacturer for the Oticon and Bernafon hearing aids. Now, the 9040 is the equivalent to the Oticon Real 1. Not the Real 2, not the Real 3, the 1, which is the premium technology level. And the new 9050 is going to be the equivalent of the newly released Oticon Intent 1. Again, not the Intent 2, the Intent 3, the Intent 4, the Intent 1, which is the premium level. Now, in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys some slides and some clips and sharing some information about the Oticon Intent, because there's not a whole lot of information on this 9050 yet, other than a PDF file of the white paper for the 9050. But I'm also going to be referring to that as well. And the reason I'm going to be using a lot of Oticon information here and Oticon references is because I believe, okay, this is just my opinion, this is what I believe, because I believe that the technology that's shared between the Oticon hearing aids and the Philips counterparts is a lot closer than you guys may think. Now, some of you guys may disagree, and that's okay. These are just my thoughts and opinions, and what can I say? I love sharing them with you guys, and I love getting your guys' input as well. I've fit different brands within the same manufacturer in the past, and a lot of times the technology is exactly the same, just with different names. The fitting software is the same, just with different colors, different names of the advanced features. And now, at first, I wasn't sure if that was the case with Philips and Oticon, but the more I read, the more I research, the more I think, yeah, it's the same. Now, to kick things off, let's first talk about the upgrades from the 9030 to the 9040. There were not a whole lot. The three major updates between the older Philips HearLink 9030 and the 9040 were the equalizer. The 9030 didn't have a real live equalizer in the Philips HearLink app, but the 9040 does. The 9040 also got the wind and handling noise improvement or upgrade. And then finally, it got an upgrade to their Sound Protect transient noise reduction, also commonly known or referred to as impulse noise reduction, which is just the hearing aids catching those loud, sudden sounds and not amplifying them. Again, there wasn't a whole lot of upgrades or updates. This is not the case with the 9040 to the 9050 updates. There have been significant updates and upgrades, if you will. And I can tell you, after doing reading and a lot of research and just understanding these systems, I'm actually really excited about this one. So let's talk about it. So some of the physical attributes to kick things off is the hearing aid is getting a makeover. You guys have probably already seen videos about this, so I won't go into too much detail. They decided to get rid of the rocker switch up and down buttons on the hearing aids and went with just a single button. Personally, I don't like this switch. I love having an up and down on each hearing aid because that just gives you so many more options. You know, with what you can do with the buttons, you can set one side to change volume. You can set the other hearing aid to change programs. You can do all kinds of things with these buttons. Just having one button on each side really limits what you can do without your phone. But if you are an app user, then this really isn't going to make a big difference for you. It's not going to be a deal breaker. You can just do all these, you can make all these adjustments right there on your phone. Now, on the flip side, most of the patients that come in to see us really hated those Philips buttons. They were just so small, they half the time couldn't tell whether they were pressing the up button or the down button. Folks just didn't like it, especially how small they were. It was just really, really hard to figure it out. With one button, it's going to be a lot easier for you to figure out what does what. Left is down, right is up, pretty simple. And then other than the button, the hearing aid got a little bit shorter, but at the same time, it's going to be a little bit chunkier. It's going to be a little bit wider or thicker. Not a huge deal in my opinion. A lot of people always ask me, well, what about glasses? Is this going to interfere with my glasses? I tell them not really, because I wear sunglasses, big thick Oakleys all the time with my hearing aids, and it doesn't bother me at all. But for some folks it does. Now, something for you fitters out there that you're going to appreciate is they're going to be using new receivers, redesigned receivers. And this is going to allow the fitting software to tell whether you're putting a left receiver or a right receiver on the hearing aid. So no more having to figure out which one's right, which one's left in the fitting software. It's going to automatically detect it, just like the Jabra, Beltone, and Resound hearing aids. So that's going to be a pretty nice welcome change for you fitters out there. Now, another big upgrade or update that you guys have all been waiting for is the new Bluetooth codec. So this is going to have the LC3 codec, or Bluetooth LE audio. You guys have been hearing about it all over the place from all these different videos, and these hearing aids are indeed going to have that. So you're going to be able to take advantage of the Auracast option that is going to be rolling out hopefully pretty soon. I haven't heard of any venues or places implementing this new service yet, but hopefully it'll be coming out soon. And just really quick, in a nutshell, what you're going to be able to do is, well, let me put it this way. This new Auracast system is going to be basically kind of replacing the old telecoil loop system. So if you go to an airport, or maybe your church has implemented the new Auracast system, you're going to be able to take your phone and tap into their audio system. So whatever the preacher is saying, whatever the pastor is saying, is going to be fed directly into your hearing aids. And it's going to make just understanding the sermon, understanding which gate is being called at the airports, just so much easier. It's going to be really, really cool. And then, other than just the Auracast functionality, they claim that the new Bluetooth will also consume less battery power. It's going to provide a more reliable connection. I'm sure you guys can't wait for that. The Bluetooth in most hearing aids nowadays is absolutely terrible, constantly disconnecting. No, it's not just your Jabras. No, it's not just your Philips. Most of them do it. So hopefully we'll see an improvement in that as well. And then it's also going to have higher bandwidth, which is going to hopefully translate into just better overall sound quality. And then one other thing that they mentioned in the white paper is they're also getting a redesigned battery charger. And then they also claim that you're going to be able to get a full day of power off of 1 hour of charging, which is pretty incredible. So if you forgot to charge your hearing aids the night before, before you get in the shower to start your day, you can pop them in the charger for 30, 45 minutes and get quite a few hours out of it, which is going to be really nice and super convenient. Now, these are all of the, other than the Auracast, some of the smaller updates, but what I'm most excited about are the improvements to the artificial intelligence systems. Better speech understanding, improved noise reduction, and understanding in noise. And then let's not forget the brand spanking new accelerometer that they're introducing with this new hearing aid. This accelerometer is going to allow the chip, or the CPU in the hearing aid, to track head and body movements of the user. And we're going to definitely talk about this in detail a little bit later on in the video. And then another new feature is ACT, or ACT, which stands for Audible Contrast Threshold. Well, what's that? Basically, this is going to be us fitters are going to be able to run this new quick test with the audiometer that will make the fitting and programming process maybe a little bit easier. So pretty cool for all you fitters out there. And again, more on this later. So let's dive into the world of artificial intelligence that is shaping the way we hear with the Philips HearLink 9050 and Oticon Intent. Now, the first thing I want to discuss is Philips AINR, or Artificial Intelligence Noise Reduction. So Philips calls this the Sound Map 3, or AINR, again, Artificial Intelligence Noise Reduction, and Oticon has named theirs the DNN, or Deep Neural Network. In a nutshell, it's the way that the hearing aids use artificial intelligence to really clean up that speech signal and try to filter out as much noise as possible, all done automatically without you having to change anything with the app, with the buttons. Everything is controlled by the chip. And I think that's also kind of the reason we haven't seen a noise filter in the app. No adjustable noise filter. Everything is just automatic. Now, the way that they achieve this is with something called machine learning, or I guess they call it deep learning. Now, I'm going to touch on this DNN really quick because it does pertain to the rest of the video, okay? Just stay with me. When I first read about this DNN or deep neural network, I focused and I really got stuck on the term network. A network means you're connected to something, whether it's people, whether it's a local area network at work or a wide area network, or also called the internet. Everything is connected, right? And I assumed that somehow the Oticon's hearing aids were constantly connected to this deep neural network or this online network, and that the hearing aids were constantly learning and adapting, with all the environments that you subject them to, and learning what sounds we want to hear, what speech we want to hear, and what sounds are considered noise, and just constantly learning and evolving. And that is not the case at all. And that's why I thought they were so much different than the Philips in this regard. I would tell the patients, the Philips and the Oticons look the same charger, same receiver, same dome, same manufacturer, same hearing aids, but the way they do the artificial intelligence is completely different. The Oticons are on this network that is constantly evolving and learning, and the Philips just kind of have this AI already trained, and that's how they're different. But that's not the case. I learned that they are not connected to this network, and they aren't continuing to learn and adapt at all. What is in the hearing aids is what you get. And this machine learning or deep learning process has already taken place. It's already on the chip. Everything that it's learned, everything that they've basically taught it has been put into the chip, and that's what you get. It's not evolving. It's not changing. It's not learning. It has already learned what it's learned, and it is there. So for all you non-techie people, you're probably wondering, well, what is deep learning? What is machine learning? What is this guy talking about? What is artificial intelligence? Well, I found this little gem on the internet, and I'm going to let the head of Oticon Audiology, Virginia Ramachandran, explain this for you in a way that you can understand, because she does a heck of a lot better than I do. This is machine learning or deep learning, and this is how they have taught the artificial intelligence to differentiate good, clean speech from noise. So that is how the DNN works. Again, there's no online network, there's no continuing to learn, there's no adapting. What it has been taught is what you get. Once it's loaded into the chip and that chip is placed inside the housing of the hearing aid, it is set. Now, there are updates that the hearing aids will get periodically to fix different issues, maybe to make some improvements. So I don't want to say it's set in stone completely, but as far as the learning process goes, that's what you get. There's no hive mind, if you will, that is continuing to learn. And it is my belief that this is the same system that is being used in the Philips hearing aids, contrary to popular belief. But since they're different brands and they have all different marketing, they don't use the same names for these systems. Just like the difference in names between the Belltone hearing aids, the Resound hearing aids, and the Jabra hearing aids. Those hearing aids are identical, except for maybe a couple minor things on the outside. They have the same advanced features, but different names for everything. Same fitting software, different colors. Now remember in the beginning of the video how I was talking about it's my belief that these technologies that are shared between the Philips and the Oticon hearing aids are a lot more similar than everybody thinks? I do still believe that, and I have mentioned in several videos how the Belltone, the Resound, and the Jabra software are basically identical, different names for different things, but everything is listed the same, just different names, different colors, but same exact fitting software, everything. That is not the case with the Oticon versus the Philips. The layout is way different between the two, but at the same time, they do have a lot of the same options and a lot of the same features. And it's because of this that I can't say for 100% certainty that these systems are exactly the same, and they may not be. I've shared with you guys what the Philips software looks like, and this is the Oticon software. And I'm going to be doing a dedicated video on the similarities and the differences between the software, and hopefully that'll help me pin down more of a concrete answer on how similar these hearing aids really are. But since we don't have much information on the 9050s yet, I'm still going to use the Oticon information and assume that most of it carries over to the Philips hearing aids, because after all, they are made by the same manufacturer. They do have the same hardware inside of them. They are still basically the same hearing aids physically, but the software that runs them and the fitting software does look and feel a lot different. So stay tuned for that video, Philips versus Oticon, and how close are these hearing aids really. Now, back to the video. Now, the reason that I'm going over all of this, I know this is going to be a longer video, but I guess that's kind of my style, so I apologize for that. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear any of this. But again, the reason I'm going over all this is because this DNN, Deep Neural Network, is one of the major updates to the Oticon Intent, or the 9050s. Now, the verbiage in the 9050s white paper, it's just a PDF document of some of the updates, but it's kind of vague. I'll have a link for this in the description. I found this on the Hearing Tracker forum. Really great forums. You can get some really great information on there. But regarding the artificial intelligence noise reduction, or AINR, it says this: the improvements to the sound quality include stronger AINR, and that the AI training process, or deep learning, has been enhanced with higher resolution. That's what it says, and that's its explanation for better understanding in noise and stronger noise reduction. This is super vague, but that's all we have. But on the Oticon side, they have lots of information out there, thank God. And they explain that the DNN has been improved, and they now have the second iteration called DNN 2.0, and that's what you're getting with the Oticon Intent, and that's what I believe you're getting with the Philips 9050s. And what they said is they've analyzed all of the original sound samples, because just like in the video, what they did is they introduced the chip to all these different sounds, both noise and speech, and they've just added thousands and thousands and thousands of sounds called sound samples to this big pool where they're learning from, okay? And they've analyzed all of the original sound samples from the original DNN, or Deep Neural Network, and they learned which sound samples, or like in the video, pictures of the dogs, they learned which ones were more effective or most effective. And they retrained the DNN, and they've added even more sounds to the pool. And they've just overall updated the whole entire learning process, and they've updated how all this is analyzed, making it smarter and just better at its job. So now we have a more advanced, smarter DNN called the DNN 2.0, or what Philips calls the SoundMap 3, or AINR. Now, how does this translate into the fitting software and the programming process when programming the hearing aids? Basically, the artificial intelligence noise reduction, or AINR, is going to be stronger. And now if you take a look at the fitting software, there is a new setting for the noise reduction mode. Before you had 4 settings, now you have a 5th very high setting that you can activate. Now that takes care of the enhanced noise reduction and the updates to the AI, but now let's talk about the major update, the sound guide. Sound guide is Philips' term for it. Oticon's term is the 4D sensor, or accelerometer. And what this accelerometer is doing is it is going to allow the hearing aids to figure out the intent of the user, or the intentions of the user, hence the Oticon Intent. And by intent, I mean, what is the person intending to do? Is the person trying to talk to one person on a one-on-one, very intimate conversation, or are they talking to multiple people by moving their heads around? Or is the user, not talking at all, and they're just walking around, scanning their surroundings, trying to figure out what's what and where's everything is? That is the idea of this new accelerometer and why they've introduced it to these hearing aids. And it's going to be doing this by tracking the head and body movement of the user. Not only will the new chip use the acoustics of the environment and the conversation activity, it's also going to be taking into account this other variable, head and body movement. And it's going to use this information to determine two different things. One, how much noise reduction should we be using right now based on what the person's doing, and what kind of microphone directionality mode should we be using? Should we be using a narrow directionality, or should we use a wider directionality pattern, or should we be scanning in a 360 using the omnidirectional microphone? So if the user is standing still with very little head movement, like, yep, okay, yep, I got you. Oh yeah, okay. I'm just kind of nodding up and down, or no. The hearing aids are going to determine that the person is having a one-on-one intimate conversation. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to want to have the maximum amount of noise reduction, and you're going to want a more fixed front directional microphone pattern or directional mode. All of this obviously to achieve the maximum speech clarity. Now with more head movement, like side to side movement, the sound guide or the 4D sensor is going to determine that you may be talking to multiple people. And it's going to make the appropriate changes to the noise reduction and the microphone directionality, and not use a fixed frontal, cone. Now, if the user is walking or running, the hearing aids won't apply as much noise reduction, if any at all. And it's going to use more of an omnidirectional microphone pattern so that the user can be aware of their surroundings and hear everything and know what's going on. Maybe you're walking down the street. You want to be able to hear the cars coming up from behind you, or the dog barking to the left of you, etc. Now, this is really exciting stuff. And later on, I'm going to show you guys, like towards the end of the video, some studies that they've already done based on all this new technology and some real objective numbers that they came up with. Now, I want to reiterate just one more time, guys, that I believe that these studies, even though they're studies for the Oticon intent versus the real, I believe this is going to pertain to the 9040s versus the newer 9050s. I believe this new technology is pretty much the same, just different names. Unfortunately, there's no real way to prove that. Well, not yet anyway. And I could be completely wrong, guys. I'm just taking what I've learned over the years, what I've learned in the last few weeks of research, and just applying everything and using logic. But I have been known to make a mistake here and there, and I don't know everything. So please forgive me if I'm way off base here. Now, the last update to the Oticon Intent and Philips 9050, and this one I can prove is identical, is the addition of this new ACT or ACT test that can be done. And it's added an additional feature in the Oticon and the Philips fitting software. So again, ACT stands for Audible Contrast Threshold. Just like SRT's speech reception threshold, just like air conduction thresholds and bone conduction thresholds. When we say threshold, we mean the lowest volume that you can either hear the AC or BC tones, and the lowest volume in SRT that you can understand speech. So this is a new metric that can be added to the programming or fitting process for the hearing aids. In certain audiometers, and maybe we'll see them in all audiometers at some point, but right now in certain or select audiometers, which is the machine that we actually, hook you up to test your hearing, there is a new test that can be done, and it is a hear in noise test, like a hint test. Now, it's not like a QuickSend test. QuickSend actually uses words. This uses tones and background noise. And what this new test is going to allow us to do is measure the patient's quality of hearing. Like they said in the presentation, with the air conduction thresholds and all the other tests we normally do, we're basically measuring the quantity of hearing, how much you can hear. But this is going to give us an idea of how well you can hear when there's noise. Two people with identical audiograms can have varying levels of hearing and noise, but not a lot of folks test for that. This is going to be a quick way for us to test for that. Once we figure out how well you hear a noise, we're going to be given a score, or you're going to be given a score anywhere from -4 to +16. -4 would be the best performance hearing and noise, and 16 would be the worst hearing and noise. So if you have if you score 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you have a lot of trouble hearing when there's noise present. If you have like a -4 to -2, maybe 0, you have more of a normal ability to hear a noise. And that score can actually be entered into the fitting software under the ACT option. And what that's going to do is it's going to help the Philips software determine how much help the patient needs regarding the amount of noise reduction, the amount of speech clarifier that we want to use, the amount of comfort control that we want to use, and other different advanced settings. People ask me this all the time, and I've actually often wondered this myself. Why not just always have the maximum amount of noise reduction? Why even have options for low, medium, high? Don't we want the maximum noise reduction all the time? We do not. The idea is you don't want to use too much noise reduction or more than is needed so that the patient can still hear their surroundings. Too much noise reduction when not necessary or when it's not needed will reduce the natural sound of the hearing aids. Like when I record my videos, I do a voiceover, I do the recording, but if I didn't use any noise reduction, you guys would hear the computer fans going as I'm talking into the microphone. You would hear the horns honking outside, or maybe you'd hear different noises, okay? If I turn off the noise reduction, as I'm talking, you can hear this white noise and all these sounds, and the audio quality would sound really bad, but my voice sounds really bassy and my voice sounds really natural. But when I use the noise reduction built in to my recording software to get rid of all these other sounds that we don't want, it changes my voice into more of a robotic or artificial voice. And I should have shown you guys an example of what I'm talking about, but you get the idea. Too much noise reduction when it's not needed will have a negative impact on sound quality. We want to preserve as much of a natural sound as possible, especially for the folks with more mild hearing loss that don't need all these advanced features. And this new option can really take a lot of the trial and error and guesswork out of the equation when, programming your hearing aids. So as you can see here, if I put in a score of -4 into the software, which would be normal hearing and noise, this is the best score possible, less advanced features are going to be used and less noise reduction is going to be used. The software will actually give you something I haven't seen before in this screen. It will give you recommended settings for a lot of these advanced features based off of your ACT score. Now, if I enter in, positive 16 being the worst hearing and noise, the software is going to recommend, the maximum noise reduction, and it's going to increase a lot of these other advanced feature settings as well. So pretty exciting stuff. Now, quickly, I just want to go over some of the studies that they did regarding the Oticon Intent, versus the real, or the 9050 versus the 9040, how this new 4D sensor and this new iteration of the noise reduction is going to affect your understanding. Now, the first study is using the SII, or Speech Intelligibility Index. So the Speech Intelligibility Index is defined as the proportion of total speech information available to the listener's ear for a given speech material. So how much speech information is actually getting to the ear. With the new DNN 2.0, this was improved by 12%, which is pretty significant. But if you include the new DNN and the 4D sensor, or the accelerometer that tracks the head movement and body movement, it increases it up to 35%. That's pretty crazy. Now, another study was done on speech comprehension using the new 4D sensor or accelerometer. There was a 15% relative improvement using this new sensor. And then lastly, there was an overall sound quality study, and this is a subjective study. They just took a bunch of patients and got their feedback. Okay, so this is not an objective study, but still pretty cool information. So between the Oticon Intent and the Oticon Real, people said that they found a significant improvement in sound quality, nuances and details, and just overall comfort in general. Pretty optimistic stuff. So whether you're thinking about trying the new Oticon Intent 1 or the Philips 9050, I think you should be very excited. And I cannot wait to see what the patients think when we start fitting these 9050s. And you better believe I will be reporting back the feedback, because we're going to be fitting a ton of these. Just remember, the Oticon Intent has 4 different technology levels, okay? The Intent 1, Intent 2, the 3, and the 4, okay? The 4 is the lowest technology level. The Oticon Intent 1, again, is the premium level, and the 9050 is the equivalent to the Oticon Intent 1, not the 2, 3, or the 4. I know that's the 3rd time I've said it. I just want you to be aware that the Philips 9050 is the premium one. Again, the 9050 has not been released yet, but the day it drops, I will be letting you guys know immediately. So make sure you guys all subscribe so you'll be the first to know. Now, please let me know if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff. I'd be more than happy to answer it for you, or do my best. And let me know in the comments what you're most excited about with these Philips 9050s that are coming out. Now, before I go, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We've got several new Hearing Club members, and I just wanted to give you guys a huge shout out and a thank you. I haven't been doing as many videos because work is just kicking my butt. I work 8 hours, and then when I come home, I'm just drained. I don't feel like making any videos, and it makes me sad because I used to be so excited, but just working and then coming home after work, I'm ready for bed. I'm ready for bed. So help me get out of there, all right? But you guys that are members are doing just that. You are helping support the Hearing Club channel, which I appreciate immensely, and I love every single one of you guys. Our most recent members are Steve A, Rod H, Ray L, Dominic, Arthur S, Dan H, Kate L, and Leo D. Thank you guys so much for becoming members and supporting the Hearing Club. That is huge for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we also got some donations, some PayPal donations. So Steve A, Richard F, Tim J, Terrence M, Ricardo R, and Brad L. Thank you guys so much for your PayPal donations. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Which reminds me, if you guys do want to donate, here's a PayPal, or you can just become a Hearing Club member. It's like $2.99 a month. Give you guys shout outs. And when I have time, I'm going to try to figure out some more incentives, just something I could do to thank you guys for becoming members. Thank you so much for watching the video. Can't wait for these hearing aids to come out. And you guys all have a wonderful night. Let's get hearing.